This show is brought to you by Kratzmann Caravans, their RV Super Centre out there at Burpengary, Kev. For over 40 years, Kratzmann have been the starting point for Australian caravans and motorhomes. They are the benchmark. You want to go away? You want to pull a caravan? You want to have a motor? You think of Kratzmann. It's that easy. They've been that good.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense to me, Dobbo. I mean, just up there at Burpengary, aren't they? Just off the freeway there.
On the Bruce Highway. This year is their biggest ever sale. They are having an event sale.
Wait, what sort of? Tell me how big the sale is.
Well, mate, they've got things. They've got RVs, $20,000 off a caravan. Like that alone, that's up to. I mean, these guys. They're not just saying, come out, we'll take a couple of bucks off it. Thousands.
That's big money.
Thousands. Now, what you need to do is...
Hey, that's big money even for you in your terms, because you live in the world of money, don't you?
Pot kettle. What you need to do is you need to go out there to Kratzmann and their RV Superstar end of financial year sale and say, listen to Dobbo and Kev. I watch Inside Ball.
Show me the money.
Let's go, baby. I want to pull a motor. I want to pull a caravan. I want to take a motor home to Longreach. We're going to be in Longreach next week.
Looking forward to that.
We will see Kratzmann Caravans parked out there. There's nothing sure. They'll be out there. We might even take some happy snaps of it as well. So make sure you tell them that Inside Ball is where you heard this. Go and get yourself a caravan. If it's now the time you want one, just even make an inquiry. They will look after you. Kratzmann Caravan, the best in the business. G'day and welcome to Inside Ball. Round 12 done and dusted. Now, if you're a tipster and you're in a tipping comp like myself, you can almost kiss your comp goodbye because I got 1 from 5. How'd you go, Kev?
Oh, I think I got maybe because I'm on a few different tipping channels, so I like to mix it up a bit. You know.
Well, let me just say
I think I had the Dolphins on one channel and not on the other, so I can't. I'm going to say 2 out of 5.
I'm going to say the Green Machine.
We both had the Raiders.
I had the Raiders. That's the only one I got. So let's go through the scores quickly. 44 points to 8. Dolphins over the Doggies. We will unpack that game shortly. Eels, great victory. 30 points to 10 over Manly. The Knights. I owe Jason Demetrio a cheese pizza. 25 points to 6 over the Panthers. 42 points to 16, the Roosters over the Sharkies. And go you, Green Machine, go. 16 points to 10 over the Warriors. Hey, Warriors fans, cry me a river. That's all I'm going to say. Sucked in.
Are they upset, the Warriors fans?
The Warriors fans are upset with me because we will unpack the Warriors. Yeah. I'm going to talk about that game in a minute. I'm going to talk about that you have got a top 4 team. We're going to do that shortly. Let's get through some news first, right?
Right.
And normally we have the Kratzmann's player on the move at the end of our show.
Yep.
We're going to lead with our news of the Kratzmann Caravans and RV sale. Burpengary, head out there. Who's the player on the move, Kevie?
Well, there's 2 players on, so we need 2 Kratzmann Caravans.
Right.
First player on the move is Adam Reynolds. Is he? I don't know. We'll ask you about that.
Yeah.
And the second player, obviously the
big story.
The big story is Lachlan Galvin.
Okay, let's talk about unpack Lachlan Galvin. I was on Simbin yesterday. James Hooper broke this story.
Right.
And it was interesting that he's obviously got contacts with Lachlan Galvin's family. Lachlan Galvin had told his family and friends he was going to the Dogs. The Dogs have played, Phil Gould a month ago had said nothing to see here. And then last week they got a phone call from his manager. Can it happen like that? Firstly, can that happen where you thought you were going one direction?
Yeah.
And then it just changes, then you pivot and it does open up.
Well, it changed overnight, didn't it, with Galvin, with the Tigers wanting to release him.
Yeah.
But you have to pay, it was $175,000 or so.
The reason the Tigers, Kevin, the elephant in the room is that there was going to be impending legal action. That was the threat coming from Galvin's management.
Right.
So the Tigers, they didn't want that.
Yeah.
They didn't need to play it out in court. There was a dossier.
Well, the bridge was crossed, wasn't it, with
yeah.
Galvin, even with Luai.
Yeah.
He was the tension between those two was surfacing. So one had to go, and of course Luai's got the clause in his contract, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That he can go at the end
of next year.
So they don't want to upset Luai. They want to keep
him.
They don't want to lose both. So the smart thing was to let the younger player go, Galvin, and he already said that he didn't want to be there anyway, regardless. So I think it's a smart decision. Phil Gould's come under a bit of criticism for distancing himself from. But yeah, I think what he's done is to me makes sense. when Galvin became available, obviously, they want to have a crack at him. So, and that happened very quickly. He got as I see it, they got a phone call on Tuesday night from Lachlan's management team.
Isaac Moses.
Yep, and said that he's available. And he rang a few clubs, ones that he thought would be interested.
And they want him. And look, if you listen to Phil Gould, he doesn't get a lot wrong. I can get where Buzz is coming from, that he and a few of these people saying that they thought that Phil Gould had lied. For me, and I hate to say this because I'm of the journalist.
Well, say it.
I can understand. You've had to tell lies to journalists to try and protect. I mean, give us some insight. When you went down to sign Renault, everybody thought Renault was a done deal at the Sharkies.
Yeah,
right.
Well, you've got to be very secret about it.
Being genuine.
You have to, mate. To get certain deals done, you've got to have a lot of trust in the player's management team, the player himself, that he just zips it, and his family and those that. So you tell very few people and just go and make it happen. And that's what the Bulldogs did. They did it very quickly, very swiftly. Now the backlash from that is, so he's gone from the Tigers. I think and we both agree.
He's done. They've got to buy. The Dogs have got to buy. He's finished at the Tigers.
Right, but that was untenable there, wasn't it?
Completely.
So the quicker they can accelerate his departure, the better for both parties.
Yeah.
So the Tigers can get on with their season, and also Lachlan can get on with his season. And also, the ramifications of him signing with the Bulldogs is huge. That's going to upset.
Well, it depends on what they do. Now, there's two trains of thought.
Well, he's a 5'8",
okay,
right? So he can't go and play 5'8" at the Bulldogs.
Well, he can.
He can't.
Well,
where's Burton go?
He goes to fullback, and they move Connor Tracy.
Move Connor Tracy, their best player. He's leading the Delhi M's.
That's what they were talking about. Or they play him at 7, and they move Sexton on.
Can't do that either, mate.
Well, then he starts at 14 and he works his way into the side.
I think that's probably where he's going to start. He's probably going to have to come off the bench initially.
Well, I think culturally you can't go into a side that's leading the competition at the moment, which the Bulldogs are. Yep, they got pumped in the wet by the Dolphins. And you can't drop the halfback for a bloke that's come straight in.
No.
That culturally, it reeks. So I don't think Cameron Serrato would do that. I hope like hell.
Well, let's go back a bit. Well, who's the 14 he's going to bump off the
Bailey
bench?
Hayward.
So Bailey Hayward,
well, mate, there's a bit of talk that Reed Marnie. There's a bit of talk that Reed Marnie's on the out there.
What? So
Hayward could go to 9.
No, Reed,
mate, I'm telling you, there's talk there that they're not happy with Reed.
Reed annoys players and teams. He gets under their
a lot
grill.
of penalties, a lot of.
That's part of the Bulldogs' makeup.
Okay,
Dobbo.
Thank God.
This is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be, and
unfolds.
that's what. Look, there's a few trains of thought on what's going to happen there. So either way, anyway, that deal's done. Thank God. But the Tigers have now got cap space. Now, interesting.
Who are they going after?
Well, surprise, surprise. You talked about the Kratzmann Caravans player on the move, and you said Adam Reynolds.
All right.
Now,
I thought that was just paper talk.
No. Renault, he can say what he wants, and they can say what they want. Definitely had some interest from the West Tigers. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on this. That's fine. He doesn't want to leave Brisbane, and Brisbane don't want to lose him. So I think there will be a deal done for him to stay in Brisbane.
Yep. Well, that's got ramifications as well. Then.
Big time. And it's a 1-year deal. And it'll be a year on year.
Yeah, didn't the Tigers offer him 2?
Yep.
Why wouldn't he take the 2-year deal?
Well, his family's up here. People don't want to shift. He's at the back in the career. I get it. Right. I might be wrong here. And I'm genuinely, I might be wrong. And there has been no formal offer from anyone. The club, Brisbane haven't given him a formal offer. The West Tigers have shown interest, 2-year deal, and you know how this stuff works. But you still haven't got Katoni Staggs signed. Now, all roads are pointing to that deal could get done, but it's a terms thing. Cobbo's not signed. No. You got Huss off at the end of next year. You've got Grant Anderson coming. There are a lot of moving parts at Brisbane.
Yeah.
And the Reynolds saga, they can say, oh, well, they don't want the fanfare. The problem why Brisbane have fast-tracked this is because the outrage from the fans. That is the optics from the fans is the reason they want Renault to sign. That's why this has been fast-forward last week. Yeah. You know, when Renault came out and said, look, and it's funny, it was very creative because what he actually said was, yes, they've shown some interest, but I don't want to leave Brisbane and my preference is, but that didn't get reported. It was only yes to Brisbane. So that sent everybody in
want a
this
bidding war.
no.
Oh, Dobbo, they don't want a bidding war.
Well, maybe, but how do you see it playing out? Like, I mean, you know that club better than anybody.
Yeah, look, well, I can understand the need to re-sign Adam Reynolds for.
See, Gordy's got a train of thought that he doesn't think they should, and Gordy's like, well, and when you listen to Gordy, it's valid. Well, what he says is valid.
There's two ways this can go. Like all signings, sign Adam Reynolds. Short term, you'll get some short term gain. Which when I was at the Broncos, you've got to have a, coaching as the head coach. You've got to have certainly an eye on what's happening right now, and a little bit of a look over the hill and see what's happening in the future. But right now, that club's under enormous pressure, aren't they? They're under pressure.
It's huge.
So they need to try and keep their key players intact. Now, Renault, in fairness to him, has probably been in their top 3 players in the opening 11 rounds, 12 rounds now. The times when he has played really, really well, they've won by cricket scores, right? So I can understand, and I know the importance and the value of Adam Reynolds to that football club. So it's a tough decision. It's a big call.
Can I ask you this, Kev? I'm at pains to ask you about things like that because I know how much it burns you, but is there ever and was there ever a chat, and humour me, you've got Ezra on huge freight, you've got Reece on huge freight, making them a halves combination? Or was it always Reece as a fullback?
Reece a fullback, mate.
Yeah. He couldn't play 5'8", because there has been some talk about
Maybe in 10 years' time, when he's a bit slow. But, mate, Reece Walsh is one of the best. But I'm just trying to
in
the competition.
Yeah, I know, but
Reece and Ezra in that 1 and 6 combination are brilliant, mate. You swap that to 6 and 7, doesn't have the same feel about it,
right?
At all. So let's not even go there. Reece Walsh is the Broncos' best option at fullback.
Yep,
clearly.
Well, he'll be back this week against Manly. That's the mail I'm getting this morning, that they're going to try and rush him back. He's got to get through a week worth of training,
right?
But they will be back. 2 players on the move. One I don't think will be moving, but hey, it worked well for Kratzmann Caravans.
They're just up the road there.
They are, mate. Burpengary.
If Reynolds wants to move, he can just load the car
up. End of financial year sale.
Yeah,
well, he might have to do that. He might have to get the caravan because he'll be going down there on his own. He'll be sleeping in a caravan. Talara and the kids are staying put. They're staying put.
Rolled out the gold model. That's when the Kratzmann gold for Renault.
Now, listen, can we just talk about the Dolphins? I just want to formally apologise. Sorry, Wolfie. Sorry, Trad. Sorry, Terry. And sorry to all the players, because I absolutely put the line through you against the Dogs. I said there's no chance. And for you to win 44 points to 8, shame on me. This side, when they're at their best, as you've said, it is elite. When they're at their worst, it's bloody ugly. But if they get it right, they can put points on quicker than any team. 100%.
And they were without Hammer, weren't they?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Out without Flegler. Yeah, out without Gilbert, that out with Swyftx, a lot of their unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a great performance, and particularly in the driving rain as well. Tight first half, but that second half late. That's a sign of a good team when they
go on with it.
They put teams away and went on with it. Yeah.
Kurt Donahue, thoughts?
What about that? Tough as teak.
Come on, he got a broken nose.
Broken nose, mate.
Every league player, anybody who's played rugby league's had a broken nose.
And we're talking here. I've fractured eye socket, but no broken nose.
Kept on playing, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I went off.
It was very tough. Great performance. How'd you fracture your eye socket?
Oh, that was against the Dragons. We won't go there today, right? But he's pretty tough. Coming back on, not only coming back on, but influencing the result as well. He's come along well the last 4 or 5 weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Kurt Donahue. And
they miss Max Plath, don't they?
Yeah, well, he must be due
2
to be
weeks.
Back.
He'll be back in 2 more weeks.
So it's slowly coming together, for the Dolphins and their squad. They got a bye this week.
Yeah.
So it's a 4-point game for them, really, wasn't it? So that was, good work from them. The Bulldogs, their coach, he wasn't happy, was he, after the game, Sir Aldo?
You going to line them?
What's that, sorry?
You going to line the Dogs?
Nah.
Put a line through them to win the comp?
No, it didn't get to 50, mate. It was 44. You got to get to 50. Dogs are just going through a period now with Origin, some injuries, so they're a bit up and down. But I can see them. They got when they're on song, they got great defence, and that normally puts you into the big games at the end of the year, Dobbo. Once they get all their players back, get their regulars in, but the signing of Lachlan Galvin, it could go either way for him in that regard. I'm thinking it's going to be a positive, but
no question. I'm going to say this now.
Yep.
I don't think they can win the comp this year.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I think they're. Last year they made the 8. They finished in 6. They got bailed out. They made the semis. Big crowd out.
Yeah. Was it Manly put them to the
away.
sword? Yeah.
I don't think they can win the comp. I know
That's
they're
a
leading
big
the
call
comp.
a
I
long way
know.
out.
I know. If you ask me after,
Well, who's your favourite for the comp then? So far?
Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I think Melbourne are, and I think Canberra and the Warriors. I'm serious about this, and Brisbane. I looked at Brisbane's draw yesterday, and I know we're digressing a bit, but I reckon they got 9 out of 14. I reckon they're going to win 9 of the next 14, right?
Yep.
Which will put them maybe 5th or 4th.
Yep.
And I think if they can get it right with Ezra, and you've said this as well, they should be there. Now, I could be wrong if they get beaten by Manly this week, but I can't trust the Sharks.
Well, you can't trust too many teams at the moment.
I can't trust the Sharks.
You can't trust any team at the moment.
Well,
mate.
you can trust Melbourne when they've got
Well,
Nelson.
mate, they're up. They've been up and down as well, mate. The Dolphins put 40 on them in the second half. You know, Origin. It's a horrible period.
One of our mates,
tipping.
one of our great mates, Nugget, right?
Right,
He
Peter
says,
Nolan.
Peter Nolan. He says, there's 3 seasons in a rugby league season.
Yeah.
He said pre-Origin, Origin,
And post-Origin.
then post-Origin.
Yep.
We're
So-
now in season 2,
Yeah.
right? And he said that's a difficult part of it.
Well, it started on the weekend.
As
we
you
saw
see.
how difficult it was for tipsters.
And
for
so when
teams.
you come out of it, that's when the whips crack. So
Yeah.
you just want to get through unscathed at the moment, don't you?
But in my experience, and I do agree with you, Nugget, but also you need to still maintain some momentum through Origin.
When you guys went to, I'll tell you when your momentum was in 23. You went to New Zealand
Yeah, we
and
beat
you had you beat the with not a second string side, but a lot of players out, and that was they're the kind of wins you got to have.
That
isn't it?
galvanised the team,
Yeah.
gave them confidence,
Yeah.
to win without
With big
there's
guys,
4 or 5 players.
and then they just went on with it.
Yeah.
They did.
Reece Walsh didn't play. Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas,
Yeah,
Tom Flegler,
yeah,
Cobbo, I think, was
yeah.
missing.
Yeah, it
So
was
there
a lot.
There was
Yeah,
a heap out.
and they all stepped up
But
and they won.
We had Reynolds and Mam in the halves,
yeah.
and Tristan Saylor at fullback, Billy Walters at 9. So it was a good spine still.
Yeah.
If you keep your spine intact somewhat, that gives you even more of a chance because of those combinations, which we saw with the Roosters
Yeah.
on the weekend.
Well, what do you make of the Chooks? I mean, they had 50 put on them in week 1. They beat the Sharks. They put 44. That side, no Nafahu White, no Crichton, no Sam Walker, no Connor Watson. They keep
Well, they had 5 out from Origin commitments.
but they still had Teddy.
Yeah.
These young Smiths,
That bloody Teddy, I tell you what, he's an amazing player, isn't he?
mate, ridiculous.
The way he's leading those young fellows,
What about Savala?
Nawanga need to Wasa.
Yeah,
Like,
mate,
what
where
about
they-
his skills?
What about Australian Rugby Union letting him go?
Yeah.
You can't pay all this money for Joseph Suaalii, but
Yeah.
you got Nawanga Nisawase, you let him go, and look
Yeah.
what he's doing. Like, hello,
Yeah.
recruitment, new person in, please.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's
like,
footy,
what do
isn't
you
it,
make
mate?
of the Roosters? That just shows they're being coached. No Nafahu White, but this Hugo Savala and Sandon Smith. Well, everybody's saying that Sandon Smith's going to go to the Cowboys as a hooker. That's the mail.
As a hooker.
As
Is
a
he a-
hooker.
is he a hooker?
Hooker. Yeah,
They've turned him into a 6, have they?
Yep, and they reckon he's going to go there as a number 9 because Reece Robson's going to the Chooks. They reckon that's the swap on. I mean, he's a good footballer because you got Sam Walker coming back.
Yeah.
You got Ches coming there as well.
He's going there too, eh?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I mean,
You got Hugo Savala there.
yeah. So Savala's going to go on loan somewhere. Clearly, he's just going to have to go on loan to You can't play this kid in reserve grade next year.
No. Well, he's shown that maybe one of the new teams coming in will.
Well, he'll just go on loan. He'll go on loan because you've got Cherry Evans out for 2 years. Like a Harry Grant to the West Tigers loan. Boys, you're going there for a season, then you're coming back to the bowler.
Right.
Well, you wouldn't let him go.
No.
His kicking game, he kicked them into submission.
Well, his kicking game was very good, but also he's starting to pick up other parts of his game as well. His running game, his passing, all that's very good. And his combination with Smith.
Yeah.
That's what I like. We interviewed him on Fox after the game, and they just look like they're having fun. A couple of young 20-year-olds just having fun of it. That's what the game's about.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
going
enjoying
good.
yourself.
They're going well. They're going well. Wednesday night, game 1. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. Queensland preparation, New South Wales preparation. Then we go to Perth. But game 3 in Sydney,
Right.
what is where I think the series will be decided on.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, it's
Because
gonna be
I think we won. I think we win here. Our track record in Perth isn't great. I know you will disagree, but we just aren't great on the road.
Let's just okay. I'll go with you.
So
we go to
Sydney. Now Swyftx, and start your Swyftx experience today. They're unbelievable in crypto. I'm right into it. I've been listening to podcasts. Swyftx is a Australian-based company where you can buy, sell, and trade crypto, and really easy. I mean, beyond easy.
How do you join up?
It is really simple to join. It's that simple to join. I talked about it last week as well, that if you join, Swyftx would give you $20 worth of Bitcoin to start off with. That was the first thing they did. Well, it gets better. Go to our show notes, and we have this super simple promo going. Now, all you need to do is you need to go to Swyftx, opt in on the promo, and trade $100 on their platform, and you go into this draw to win something pretty spectacular. What Swyftx are doing is they're going to, if you go to our show notes and opt in, you get the chance to go in the draw for flights and accommodation for 2, tickets to the game, and also Swyftx will help you with some Bitcoin.
Right.
Now, it's that simple. If you're listening to Inside Ball, opt in on the promo at swyftx.com. It's all the links are on our show notes. It's so simple. Now, I can tell you, I'm not the brightest spark. I finished high school. I went to the Territory chasing cattle. But I've even got on board. It is really easy with Swyftx. I'm telling you, crypto, don't be scared of it. It is a currency that is seriously going to be the way of the world.
You can buy and trade on there, can't you?
Everything. Do everything you want. Yep. Everything you want with Swyftx. Huge supporters. And what they're doing for our Inside Ball family is giving you a chance, 2 tickets to State of Origin, flights, accommodation, Game 3, and some Bitcoin. That easy. Go to our show notes. All the links are there. Thank you, Swyftx, and thank you, Inside Ball, because you know what? What a perfect synergy. Unbelievable.
Beautiful.
Look, Knights, I lost a cheese pizza to Jason Demetrio there.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I can't trust the Knights. I mean, they're hot and cold. Adam O'Brien survives another week.
Penrith last. Penrith sitting last.
So they've won 3 games and a draw. Now, I can't see them winning any more than 11 games for the season.
Right.
Now, if that is, they won't make the 8. Now, I'm not prepared to say they won't, because this year could be an anomaly in how many wins. It's normally 13 and 3 buys, right? That normally gets you through. 13 wins, 3 buys. I don't necessarily know. I don't think they're going to get there.
Right. Well, the last team to do it was?
Bronx.
Brisbane Broncos in 99. I was part of that side. We lost Alan Langer. He retired that year. Our start to the year was really poor, like Penrith, and we were sitting last after 12 rounds.
Yeah.
And we just got on this enormous run. We made the finals. We scraped into the 8. We finished 8th, but then got bundled out in round 1 by the Sharks. So it's a tough road. They can make the 8, the Panthers.
Yeah, the difference is, Kev, Penrith have always rested their Origin stars coming out of the back of Origin.
Yeah.
They can't afford to do that.
Well, that's the case for the Broncos.
Yeah, but they can't afford to now because they haven't got the wins.
Well, the Roosters, they can't afford to rest their players.
No.
Nor can the Panthers.
No, so it's something's got to give. Like there won't be all these teams that haven't piled up wins in that first 11 weeks.
Yeah,
who are from Origin. They're going to have to just play them.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. The competition ladder now is a lot tighter. You know, from teams 8 to 17.
Yeah, correct.
What are they?
I think it's 2 wins.
2 wins.
Yeah,
so that's hang on, toss the coin. There's a win. Bang, got one.
Yeah. So it is a lot closer than it has been.
The Bulldogs are on top. What are they on? 20?
20, and Canberra on 18.
18,
yeah.
and then
everybody else follows suit. All right. Roosters did well. Let's talk about the Green Machine and the Warriors.
Yes.
I thought what we saw was two top four teams playing against each other. Wars fans, you got a good football team. I know you've been crying a river that we don't mention you. Fair enough. I get it. You know,
they are a good
football team. Very good football team. They got Luke Metcalf is very, very good. I thought they were very good. No James Fisher-Harris, no Mitch Barnett.
Yeah.
Huge difference when you take your 2 middles away from any team.
Definitely.
It was in the wet. 16-10. It could have gone either way. There was a lot of penalties. It was 6 against.
It was a physical game, Dobbo.
Yeah.
And a lot of players really just pushing the referee
I'm not
limit.
I'm not sure whether or not the charge sheet have come out yet. Let me just have a look.
Joseph Tapini
Tarpanay, yeah.
Tarpanay.
Yep.
He was very physical, very aggressive. And Ricky Stewart, I noticed post-game, the NRL can't promote how physical the game is and then suspend players when they become physical. That was his point, Ricky, which I tend to agree with, but you got to play within the rules as well. And the rules are judged by the referee. So there was both teams had players that were really pushing the limits. There was
Starling went to the bin. Horsburgh went to the bin.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watch Horsburgh's second half, and I go, mate, I just wish he was playing on Wednesday night.
Well, he'll get his chance, Dobbo, in the Origin. He'll play in either Game 2 or Game 3 because he's a firebrand, so there is an element of risk with him.
I like that.
Yeah.
I want him to punch on, I like that, mate.
In Origin, it's probably a little bit more acceptable and accommodating, isn't it, than Clubland, so...
See, he reminds me of the late, great Carl Webb in the physicality of Nate Miles, those kind of blokes that, just didn't give a crap.
No, he's not, hasn't got that intimidating sort of frame, which, Carl Webb had and Nate Miles similar, but he just gets the job done. He's a firebrand. He's always looking for little ways to just sneak a little offload or an extra 10 metres here, a quick play of the ball, and defensively he's very good as well.
What do you make of Canberra? What do you make of Canberra?
Yeah, I think they're I really like watching the Raiders play. They're an unconventional side, aren't they, the way they move the ball and use the ball, but they keep coming up with lots of points and great defence, their try-line defence. Ricky spoke about it in the press conference about resilience and how he's been working since the day he arrived at the Raiders. What's he been there for now, 10 or 11 years?
11 years.
Right, on their resilience. He's already been to one grand final, and they got ripped off on that one. Let's not even talk about that.
6 again.
Yep, 6 again. So
at a certain case,
they have the ability
off that night.
They have the ability to get all
go the whole way. I'm with you, mate.
And they upset. They're tough. They're a tough side.
What about the roster he's put together? Let's be honest. It's hard to get players to Canberra as a general rule. He has built this culture down there where people. Mate, that Owen Paddy, proud Queenslander, Horsburgh, all those guys. Mate, Hudson Young. Then you look at, Tarpanay, but you go and look at Matty Nicholson. I know he's injured at the moment, but, mate, Zach Hoskins, the way Ricky is, that workmanship that's what he's created down there. And, mate, he's got young halves. I know he's going to lose Jamal at the end of the year, but Jamal...
They've got another younger one coming through down there.
Yeah, Sanders. So, I mean, they've got blokes coming through, but, mate, where did Tamale come from? Seriously,
well,
this bloke.
The Dragons last year, wasn't he?
How good is he going?
Played the last game of the year for the Dragons last year.
Yeah.
Very good. Although he's a couple of little errors in him yesterday.
Yeah, but mate, his carries off.
Yeah, mate, he's strong.
Huge.
Yeah, he's strong. Yeah.
Mate, Timoko's a gun. Sebastian Chris is getting better and better.
Yeah.
I just think that
Savage on the speed.
Oh, mate, yeah. And mate, the thing about it is, 6 weeks ago, KO weeks, you wouldn't feed him. And I mean that genuinely. He had a couple of shocking games. The thing about Rick is that Rick backs him.
Yeah, he stays
That's
with
it. He stays with him. And you know what? He's paid it in spades. And you're like that, Kev. You can see it and they know it and they believe. You're going to have growing pains with these young blokes. That's just going to happen.
That was last year. Now that's a very experienced team he's got there. Their forward pack.
Huge.
You drop Hudson Young back in there and, they're too...
Can they win the comp?
They can, yeah, I think they can. But we're still a long
way. Early days.
Out.
Season 2. Season 2
They're
or 3.
only in Season 2.
Only in Season 2. That's right. Okay, let's talk Origin, can we? Let's get to Wednesday night. 8 o'clock, Suncorp Stadium. Where will you be? Will you be at the game?
I'll be at the game working, yeah. Well, I'll be able to watch the game, but working, just...
Who are you working for? Just doing the halls?
Yeah, in and out of the corporate areas and... no, mate, no.
I
do it for love, Dobbo.
Oh, come on. Come on, none of us do.
No, but I mean, an Origin at Suncorp.
Oh, it's the best.
How good is it?
It's the best.
And I was there for the first one. Everyone knows that story. And we'll continue to go.
I'm pleased you're going because you're an Origin coach and you're a legend for Queensland.
Well, I just love the atmosphere of Origin football, and particularly at Suncorp Stadium. I've obviously been in Sydney, I've been in Melbourne, I've been over in Perth, I've been in Adelaide, but there's nothing like Suncorp. And those couple of kids on debut, Toya, when he runs out, how similar is that to when Mal ran out? I was talking to Mal about it.
Oh, I saw that photo. They look very similar, don't they?
Both 20. It was Mal's birthday in 1980 when they ran out. And he said it was just such an amazing feeling running out behind Arthur Beetson, who was his childhood hero. Arthur was playing reserve grade
for Parramatta. Crazy.
And
came back and led that team.
Senator Ron McAuliffe rang him and said, mate, you're coming back to lead Queensland. First ever State of Origin game. You're our captain. First Indigenous captain of Queensland and Australia, I believe. Arthur was. So, massive. And from the get-go, he belted them. He belted his teammates, his Parramatta teammates, Cronin, all these blokes. He was into them from the get-go, and that showed the Queenslanders that he was here not to be messed with. You know, a young Mal Meninga, a young Wally Lewis, a young Chris Close.
Origin, how good is it?
Oh, it's fantastic, mate. And the people that are going on Wednesday night, they're going to have the time of their lives.
Oh, my God.
Because I can see a Queensland win. Like, everyone thinks New South Wales has got a great team, and they have. And they always, my father used to always say, they'll always have good teams, Kev, but you've got to overcome that, you know? And the Queensland boys, I look at theirs.
Oh, mate, you can't. Tino, Munster
didn't play last year.
Ponga, Harry Grant. I mean, you just keep on
going. Tommy Dearden off the bench is going to play a pivotal role, Dobbo. Now, if I know Billy Slater, he's a very smart coach, like he'll have a certain role for Tom Dearden, and they've used it before. Bell introduced it, that 14 off the bench through the middle, linking the halves, linking the middle forwards. That's what Tommy, and he's tough, Tommy. So look for him to come on with about 10 minutes to go in the first half, and then he'll play for about 10 or 15 minutes in the second. Off you go, son. Job done.
What about this one? Do you think there could be a late change? I look at the bench and I go, they're probably a middle. Could Cotter start from the bench and they might start Bo?
I reckon Lindsay Collins might start.
Right. And
just
they drop and what they
he
bring
hasn't played
Cotter.
A lot of football, Lindsay, right? In the last
and what do they
6
put
weeks.
Mo to the bench potentially?
Yeah, potentially. He's got bigger minutes in him.
Yep.
So the problem, not a problem, but the scenario could be if Lindsay Collins goes on, say at the 30-minute mark, can he make that 10 minutes into half time? You know, because he hasn't played a lot of football. I know it sounds easy, but if you get a string of possession against you and you've got to defend, it makes it very hard. I'd rather start with Lindsay and get squeeze the lemon right out of him. Lindsay, go as hard, go as physical as you can. Might only be 10 or 15 minutes, and then Fodawaker can come on and finish off the half. But that's what I see a role for Lindsay Collins. Yep. He's a big, tough human, and he loves playing for Queensland. They all do, but he, in particular, he's just a monster out there.
Yeah, I like it. Where are their strengths? I know we're talking today.
Munster.
Yeah, but there's a question of Payne Haas. There is a question about Payne Haas. He didn't train yesterday with the team.
He didn't, right.
He's still got that quad injury. I spoke to the Bronx this morning. They said, look, if he wasn't going to play, he would have been home. That was the Broncos. They said, listen, if we didn't think he was going to play, they would have brought him home to rehab.
Right.
So you would expect that he plays, but he's not going to be 50. He's not going to be 100%.
No, particularly with New South Wales, I feel they have the backup and the numbers there to, you know.
They got Stefano there who you could bring straight in. But I mean, this is the thing. Where are Queensland's strengths? Where would New South Wales be watching, and how do they counter? Like
the Munster Harry Grant combination with Ponga, I think is
dangerous.
DCE in there as well. Good experienced half steering the team around. That's where our threats are. Okay, with Harry Grant's skill, Munster hasn't played Origin. He didn't play last year in any game, and his club form has been brilliant. So not so much heat, but I feel like he needs to stand up for Queensland. Kalen Ponga needs to do that as well, and we've seen him win 2 or 3 man of the matches for Queensland in that fullback role. So I think the bright lights of Suncorp. Last time Ponga was at Suncorp Stadium,
it's unbelievable.
The Knights, he was unbelievable. So I expect a big game from him as well. Now middle forwards, Tino's tough. Collins, Fodawaker, all these guys, I reckon they're in for a good
Queensland by how much, Kev?
I'd say there's not much in it. I'm going to say 4 to 6 points. I think it's going to be a tight game. First Origin normally is. Teams sort of sorting out their combinations. Both teams have some new players, some new combinations to work on. You know, the New South Wales halves haven't played together at all. So that's not so much a problem, but there'll be some teething with that, certainly. Although with the Penrith trio in their spine, that's a huge advantage to them. Latrell Mitchell will have an impact in some way or another.
So will Spencer. So will Spencer Leniu.
Oh,
mate, those two, I can't wait for those two. I mean, that you got want villains in Queensland. Well, Latrell and Spencer Leniu are both villains in Queensland, and you know what? They lift. They want to be
Well,
that.
they've broken a lot of Queenslanders' hearts over the years, those two. And let's believe that it's not going to happen on Wednesday. That's not going to be the scenario on Wednesday night.
Kev, when you talk about Origin, Rob Toyer on debut, what goes through a debutant? And can you talk about your debut?
Yeah, certainly. I remember, first of all, giving players their debuts. It's very exciting for them, and you need to keep their week as normal as possible. So, I remember Cameron Munster's debut for Queensland. His week of training was Dobbo. Horrible.
Yeah.
Dropping balls, throwing over the sideline, and so I ended up grabbing Cameron Smith, who plays with him. Cameron was the captain. I said, Cameron, what's going on here with Munster? He said, Kev, don't worry about it, mate. He's like this all the time. So I didn't worry about it. Comes game day.
Unbelievable.
You're right, mate. You're ready to go. So relaxed. After lunch, I was walking down the hallway and he was walking out of the hotel. I said, what's happening, mate? Where you going? Oh, just going for a walk. I've got to clear the head of mine, He was like a bit edgy, obviously. But then, come game time, mate, he was so good.
Yeah.
He was our best player.
What about your debut?
Oh, that was not as memorable, I can tell you.
Come on. Go.
Well, I came off the bench, right?
Yeah.
So this is 89. And Kerrod, my brother, twin brother, was he was the hooker for Queensland.
Yeah.
Had a great series. In fact, I think he might have won man of the match. It was game 3 of the 89 series. I got drafted in because Mal Meninga was crook. So I had number 4 on my back, which was pretty cool. But the problem was I didn't get on. In those days, there was no interchange.
Yeah.
So once you're on, you're on. So I was sort of kept – I got a good view of the game. I watched 75 minutes of it before I got on. But it was still a great moment. I got on there and played with Kerrod. But I remember after the game, we got a photo. Let's get a photo, fellas, And so we get this photo taken. Kerrod's jersey's got blood and sweat and tears and everything all over it. Mine still had the crinkles up the front when they opened up from the packet.
Do you still have your jersey? Do you still have your jersey?
I still got that jersey here, but it's actually number 4. It's got number 4 on it.
Did you frame it or you just kept it?
No, I just got them at home. Yeah, most.
I'd love to see that. I reckon for Inside Ball, if you could bring in your on Thursday. If we could get your first ever Origin jersey, I think that'd be quite unbelievable.
Right, because they've changed over the time, haven't they? It'd be interesting to compare the
jersey back to then.
But it was a great experience. I just remember being in the camp and you look around. Wally Lewis used to drive the bus like a maniac. All fair, like no danger, but just his driving skills were impeccable, And they used to turn the wipers, the water wipers, put them to the side, so you drive down Queen Street and they hit
shooting people.
They'd be looking. Next thing, the Queensland bus goes past with Wally driving.
It's very different now.
Unbelievable.
Very different now.
It is different now, but yeah, great times, Dobbo. Those kids that are on debut will remember their debut and remember this week for the rest of their life.
Love that. Questions for Kev, and look, there's a few really good questions. Thank you so much. Wyatt Porter, Kev, can the Raiders go all the way?
Oh, Wyatt, okay, how are you, mate? The Raiders can, we spoke about that. I think early days, so what are we, 12 rounds in, but from what we've seen from the Raiders, they're a good side, very good side, top 4 side. Defensively, they're capable to win the big end of season games.
Yeah.
Just the way they work hard for each other in defence, and their attack is different, but it's very effective.
Damon Nixon, how does Origin coaching compare to the grind of NRL coaching?
Oh, look, Origin's, totally different too. It's not a grind in the NRL.
You were very stressed as an Origin coach. You were.
Well, you're under pressure, mate. I took over from Mal, who won 8 series in a row. Yeah. 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
What did you win, 2 out of 3?
2 out of 4. I won the first 2, and then second 2 we were beaten. Not 3-0, no whitewashes, but tight games. But it is difficult. It is, but it's also very enjoyable, Dobbo. When Queensland wins, the whole state rejoices, and that's why you coach. You want to be competitive. You want to put yourself in that circle of fire, the ring of fire, for that reason alone.
Do the Roosters need Daly Cherry Evans?
I don't think they do. Not on what we've seen. But again.
They're a club of their word, though, so that decision looks like it's...
Yeah, but that decision was made a month ago when the Roosters were struggling, weren't they, really, to be fair to them? And if he becomes available to... Most clubs would have a look at him, and certainly he's a great player. So I think he can add something to the Roosters, certainly. But the trick there, that they need to do is adjust the players and keeping everybody happy in those key positions.
This is another question from Damon Nixon. Are the Dogs disrupting a good season with Galvin? And have you ever signed a player mid-season and it not work?
Oh, I don't think we've ever signed a player mid-season. I can see the value in it, in bringing quality into your roster mid-season, but there's a balancing act there. Certainly, we looked at bringing in Ben Hunt at the Broncos in 2023.
Yeah.
It didn't sort of happen, but there was a juggling act there, with bringing him in. Certainly, every club wants quality players in their roster. If you can sign one, I'd suggest get one.
Are you surprised by where Penrith sit after?
Yeah, I am surprised.
12 rounds.
I am surprised, I've got to say. But when you look back at their history, how they've played, how they've
4
trained,
years, 4
success,
premierships.
They've had a lot of players involved in rep games, haven't they?
Yep.
With
They've
New
lost
South
a whole
Wales State
roster.
of Origin,
They've lost a whole 17 roster.
and then the end of season games for Australia.
Yeah.
That takes a time. And the way they train, that's very heavy as well. So it's got them great success. But sometimes your biggest strength is also your biggest weakness, isn't it?
Well, there are your questions for Kev. Now, on Wednesday morning, Origin Day, our guest that's dropping, mate, you want to talk about a hard Queenslander?
You want to talk about a Queenslander?
This is who he'll be dropping. Make sure you listen. We will have a review on Thursday. Straight, direct from the sheds. We're going to do that straight away on Thursday.
We're doing it from the sheds?
No, we'll come from the sheds.
Damn,
You might be still a bit tipsy. The old Sunday night wine night for Kev.
No, it's a Wednesday night wine
Yeah,
night.
well, it could happen. It could happen. But we'll have everything for you. Obviously, a lot to get through. It's a huge week. It's Origin week. And then obviously previewing round 13. Bronx are back against Manly. We'll look at that. There's a few teams with the bye. I know Cowboys and Titans are playing. Dolphins have the bye. So we'll give you all of that on Thursday. But look out for Wednesday's show. Proud Queenslander. Looking forward to having a chat with him. Not my biggest fan, but we love him anyway. We'll see you next time.